Hello, this is Angela with Parker's Permaculture. It is a beautiful late summer day here in Portland, Oregon in Zone 8B. I'm hanging out in the backyard of my permaculture garden. I've actually been out running errands a lot of the day, taking my kid to work, and then, had some meetings and things, and I haven't been able to be out in the garden today as much as I would like to. And that's something that I find kind of frustrating, but I'm grateful to get some time in the garden this evening. My garden work this time of year is largely focused around harvesting, and I made a video about that a couple of days ago where I talk about how what I'm doing a lot of right now is like picking things and freezing them or preserving them. Let's let this train go by real quick. But I love being able to take that time outside in the garden every day. Lately, when I've been harvesting, I have been listening to my audiobook in my headphones, and it's really nice to have something repetitive to do with my hands while I listen to, really, really good novel in my ears. I just finished Our Missing Hearts by Celeste Ng, and I highly recommend that book if you have not read it. One of the best audiobooks I have listened to in a very long time. A really sweet, moving, compelling novel. Very thought-provoking. Anyway, so lots of harvesting and picking fruit this time of year. And so this evening, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be picking more plums and more grapes mostly. And I thought this is a great time when I get to enjoy the beauty of my garden and enjoy the literal fruits of my labors. And I'm really focused on being grateful to have the ability to grow and harvest some portion of my own food. This is a great time to talk in general about why I love permaculture. So let's talk about 5 reasons that I love permaculture design. Number 1, permaculture is ethical. Permaculture has 3 ethics: earth care, people care, and fair share. Permaculture isn't a religion, it's not a gimmick, it's not a cult, it's not a grift, it's not a trend. It is a design system based on principles and ethics. That set of principles shapes the way that we interact with other humans, be they in our household or in the greater community. It shapes the way we grow our food. It shapes the way that we relate to the natural world. Because of this focus on connectedness and relationships between all things, permaculture interweaves really well with individuals' religious and spiritual practice. It entwines really nicely with folks' spiritual framework and outlook. The beliefs that we have are really easy to fold in and include with permaculture ethics and principles. While permaculture is not a religion, it is able to partner well with and have a symbiotic relationship with the beliefs and worldview and spiritual practices that folks already have. It also means that it is inclusive of a wide range of spiritual and religious beliefs and practices. Because it is not dogmatic, it is not focused on one particular way of viewing the world or one particular way of approaching spirituality and religion, it makes it much more accessible to all people. Number 2, permaculture is beautiful. Permaculture gardens are lush, abundant, diverse. Permaculture pasture land, silvopasture, designs outside of a traditional kind of food forest garden also focus on diversity and abundance. There's an appreciation for finding the beauty outside of a very narrow range of Western aesthetics, right, and sensibilities, out of the very ordered way that Western gardens are. Permaculture says, let's not limit ourselves to that. Let's branch out. Let's appreciate a much broader way of growing food and organizing gardens and organizing like biomes and ecosystems as well, right? Finding beauty in the way that a particular landscape and its particular organisms interacting with each other in that landscape don't look like a neat row of boxwoods and, a flower border. That when you work with the conditions of the climate and the land itself, you can create beauty that is reflective of the place where that garden exists, right? It's very much about placemaking. It's very much about blooming where you're planted and finding beauty there. So I would say the kind of beauty that permaculture gardens focus on is kind of a reflection of the beauty of nature. A bit wild and far more complex than anything that humans could design on their own. Because the beauty in permaculture gardens allows for, or even causes us as the gardener to have to loosen our tight grip, our let go of our very narrow range of what we think is beautiful and learn to appreciate a broader range of beauty. It causes us to step back and see what is possible if we work with nature instead of fighting her. We start to see what is possible when we work with nature and the scaffold of the 12 principles to create the kind of beauty that we have been conditioned to ignore or to devalue. And it helps us to have a posture of gratitude and a posture of searching out and finding and appreciating beauty wherever we are, and also creating far more beauty than we would have using a much more controlled and ordered sense of gardening. Number 3, permaculture is productive. Permaculture uses an abundance mindset, not a scarcity mindset. And what I mean by that is that it helps us learn to use waste products as resources. We are learning to harness elements in nature instead of warring against them. We're saying we don't have a slug problem, we have a lack of duck problem, right? How can I turn something that is a problem in my garden into a resource so that instead of battling with it, I am learning to harness it to increase the abundance in my system. As a result, we yield more diverse harvests of nutrient-dense food that not only enrich our diet, but enrich our garden as a whole over time. We find that our gardens are increasing in fertility and abundance as a direct counter to industrial agriculture, which is extractive and depleting the soil life and causing erosion and causing desiccation and causing reduced fertility over time. What we see with permaculture gardens is the very productive nature of the garden focuses on cycling nutrients and enriching every element of the system so that we are seeing an expansion, we are seeing no limit to the abundance that we can achieve, versus a scarcity mindset where we are focused on using up all of the nitrogen, using up all of the resources, where it's competitive and we are seeing us as the gardener at war with other elements in the ecosystem. Permaculture says if you have a productivity mindset, you can let go. You can have productive gardens, you can learn how to utilize resources better, and you can let go of that sense of animosity and antagonism between you and the garden and you and the natural world. Number 4, permaculture is approachable. Permaculture design principle, slow, small solutions. Odds are, if you're new to permaculture, you can't quit your job, move to the country and buy 20 acres and create a closed system permaculture farm for yourself. Or you're not going to be able to remodel your urban townhome with the latest green design. You're not going to be able to sell your car and bike everywhere. You're not going to be able to switch to an all local diet next week. I say all the time, we focus on good, better, best in permaculture. Permaculture does not ask us to radically transform our lives overnight. In fact, it would reject the notion that we should even attempt that. I would argue that it would reject the notion that we should ever radically transform our lives at all, even over time. It asks us to see how we can plug into permaculture principles and make small changes over time with the energy and budget that we have and as our motivation allows. Then we can watch the accumulation of all of these small changes, all of these small, simple, slow little solutions. We can watch the accumulation of them and the significant impact that they have in the quality of our life and the way that we interact with our neighbors and the planet and the way that we increase our resilience and sustainability. Number 5, permaculture is holistic. It's not just gardening. I have a whole video on this. Permaculture is not gardening. I think I probably have several videos on this subject. I can use permaculture design in all aspects of my life. And it helps me to see the connection between all things. The more I think with a permaculture framework, the more I have that permaculture lens informing my decision making, the more I see the connections between things, and the more I see when things are disparate and when they are disconnected and when they are inefficient and unsustainable. And being able to recognize how things should be, being able to look and see, are the 12 permaculture principles applied or are they lacking here? That allows me to see more opportunities for how I can incorporate my values and my ethics into more areas of my life, and thereby increasing my resilience, the resilience of my household, and increasing my sense of fulfillment and my ability to keep going forward and pursuing permaculture and pursuing ways of living that are in deep disconnect with the extractive culture in which we live. So I hope that was helpful for you. Are there reasons that you love permaculture, reasons that you were drawn to it in the beginning, and reasons that it has been something that you have clung to or you have continued to delve into? For me, these 5 ways permaculture is ethical, beautiful, productive, approachable, and holistic. Those are reasons that I continue to practice it after more than 20 years, and why I'm not tired of it, and why I feel like it still has a significant amount of benefit in my life, and I want to do more. I want to dive deeper. I want to add on more slow, small solutions whenever I can. So if you have those ways that you have found permaculture really meaningful for you, please share them in the comments. I would love to hear about it. And please don't forget to click like and subscribe, and check out the ways down below that you can support this channel. Thanks.